There is nothing that I have been requested more in my comment section than zombie ass Toilet of the Dead from 2011. Not even close. And when I tell you that this movie has the most yellow coloured marketing that you have ever seen for a movie, I'm not kidding. So hence why she's wearing a yellow sweater today. But this is also not the first movie that I have watched here on my channel that involves people covered in crap, because I watched Septic Man here on my channel, which is about a man stuck in a septic tank turning into the literal shit version of the Toxic Avenger. So, zombies covered in crap? This is gonna be nothing compared to that movie. But if you don't know anything about the wild, crazy movie that is zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead from 2011, let me quickly fill you in. Zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead from 2011 is a Japanese zombie horror comedy. Megami and several of her friends go on a camping trip where they are attacked by a crowd of the undead covered in sewage, controlled by parasites. They seek refuge in the home of Dr. Tanaka, who has another fate in mind for these 5 strangers. If you're new here, I go by Hordes, and if you're not new, welcome back. I talk about horror movies here on my channel on Mondays and Fridays, but as always when it comes to watching movies that I have never seen before, I am now going to go and watch this off-the-wall Japanese horror comedy about, you heard correctly, zombies covered in sewage off camera. So that way, if you two decide that you want to watch this movie, nothing will be spoiled for you, because nobody wants to watch a movie that you've just watched somebody else watch from start to finish, and I keep it spoiler free here on my channel because nobody, and I mean nobody, likes spoilers.
What the hell happened?
One of my favourite horror movies is Gothic Lolita Battle Bear, starring my beloved Yumiko, the pink superhero, and her pink teddy bear possessed by the spirit of a dead samurai. And none of you can ever come for me ever again and say that that movie is far too weird compared to what I've just watched. I will start by saying, if you do not like gross out movies, if you can't handle the sight of vomit or sewage, you are not going to have a good time with this movie, particularly the first half of this movie. The Japanese are known for their toilet humour, particularly when it comes to fart jokes, and zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead is an hour and 25-minute long fart joke with many a full booty shot just thrown in for good measure.
You're in for a treat.
On face value, Zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead is exactly what you think it's going to be. You hear the name of the movie, you already know half of the movie. But under the surface, I was not expecting the whole storyline with Megami and her whole what happened to her sister the previous year and how it has changed her as a human. So there is actually a lot more going on in this movie. Was I also expecting the whole storyline with Dr. Tanaka's daughter and the swallowing of things the size of pool noodles? Also, no. I will also say, because I know that this is something that I know not everybody is okay with, there are a few moments in this where characters get handsy with some of the female characters in this, so just a heads up, if this is not something you are comfortable with, this is something that appears in quite a lot of Japanese horror movies, so just putting that out there because, like I said, I know that not everybody is comfortable with this. Did I think that in this movie of all things, I was going to be sitting here about to give you a science lesson? Absolutely not, but here we are, because believe it or not, there is actually method behind the madness. There is zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead. So here we go, it's time for another Hordes' science lesson. Science. I was incredibly curious about why the 5 friends who go camping in the beginning of this movie were looking for tapeworms inside live trout. Now, this rang a little bell inside my brain, so I went away and looked this up, and it turns out that the little bell was correct to set off the alarm, because turns out there is a highly dangerous and illegal within the US diet known as the tapeworm diet. This involves swallowing a tapeworm, which then attaches itself to the intestine wall within its host, where it continues to then absorb nutrients and grow in size. And along with all the issues that this brings, some tapeworms will actually grow to be between 15 and 30 feet long. But the side effects of this diet include, but are not limited to, abdominal pain, nausea, bloating, diarrhea, loss of appetite, nutrient deficiency, weight loss, and even malnutrition. Meaning, one thing in my mind, that the people who wrote Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead also have a love of biological science like myself, and I will always applaud when there is actual research and knowledge behind a plot, even if it is as wild and insane as this movie is, and this is a wild and insane movie. And if you are curious, there is only 2 ways for a tapeworm to be removed. One of them, which is only done if the person's life is in danger, is surgery, but the other way is the tapeworm will naturally remove itself from its host, not via its mouth.
The lesson is over.
The action sequences in this, love, they are over the top, they are campy, they are cheesy, they remind me so much of the movie Dead Sushi, which I had a blast watching when I watched that here on my channel, but rather than giving me crab claw nunchucks like Dead Sushi did, Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead gave me something that I wasn't expecting, and it gave me paradrill parasites. I guess I should talk about the effects next though. Is the CGI great? No. Was I expecting the CGI to be great? No, I have learned over many years not to expect much from Japanese horror comedies when it comes to its CGI, and most of the time they will be so bad that they are accidentally hilarious, which is certainly what happened in this movie. If you've seen it, the hour and 15-minute mark, it's so bad, it was hilarious. Practical effects, however, is where Zombie Ass comes into its own, and I have said this before on my channel and will continue to say this here on my channel. I would rather a movie take a stab at doing everything in practical effects and them still not be great than them choose to do horrendous CGI, and it is safe to say that Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead gave it absolutely everything with its practical effects, and at one point the shock on my face, because I was not expecting this, and I am now going to have to try and describe this in YouTube friendly terms, which I know is something that a few of you get a kick out of because it is wild the dance that I have to go around to try and explain things when I can't say certain words. There is a scene, if you've seen the movie you'll know what I'm talking about, where the zombies turn up and they are on hands and feet shuffling backwards like a crab when the parasites explode out of their chocolate starfishes like wasp stingers. And to say I rapid blinked at the TV and was like, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Yes, I'm definitely seeing what I'm seeing, is not an understatement.
What did you just say?
Zombie Ass screams at the top of its lungs that it's a Japanese horror comedy. Nowhere else in the world does horror comedy the same way that the Japanese do. When I say this, it is a compliment because they are often wild, insane, over the top. You never know where they're going to go levels of insanity, which is why I love them so much. And there was a minute where I didn't know where I was actually going to rate this movie, so I decided to compare it in how I feel to the 2 other Japanese horror comedies that I watched here on my channel within the last 6 months, which was Dead Sushi and Dead Ball. And I decided to see where I would rank the 3 of them together in terms of which one that I was most likely to want to rewatch. So in the end, I am actually going to give Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead from 2011 a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And this is simply because there are parts in the plot that I really like, there are parts that I found just kind of like meh, like just yeah. I love the practical effects in this, I love the character of Megumi, but there's just, yeah, it's not my favourite that I've seen here on my channel in the past 6 months. And if you do want my official ranking order, it goes in 3rd place, Dead Ball, in 2nd place, Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead, and in 1st place, and still holding on to that position, is Dead Sushi. So there you have it, my initial thoughts and my review for my first time watching Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead from 2011. And if you've also seen this movie, I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are on this one down in the comment section down below, because so many of you told me to watch this movie. If you do want to watch this movie, however, I will leave a link like I always do to justwatch.com in my description bar so you can find out where it's streaming in your country. And if you would like to know where else you can find me, I am also over on Instagram and Letterboxd at HordesOfHorror, where I have watched over 160 horror movies so far just this year, so there are plenty that I haven't spoken about right here on YouTube. But speaking of YouTube, I will be back on Monday, and this time it is time for round 3 of 8 horror movies that you have never heard of, and I am on a streak with these, so I am determined now to keep that up. So until next time, bye.